I'm starting.
Okay. The seventh try. Now, this is a new lesson we take up in morals. We'll read the road ahead and see what is given here. Perseverance. Perseverance is the quality that allows someone to continue trying to do something even though it is difficult and there is delay in achieving success. When things are tough, do you give up halfway or do you keep trying like the spider in this story until you achieve the desired result? So now here very beautifully they have told you how the quality of perseverance. Now the meaning of perseverance we need to know. The meaning is that continuous efforts without failure is the meaning of perseverance. Now, many a times in a difficult situation, we tend to lose hope, we tend to give up. But here's a lovely story which inspired this man who's sitting, he's a soldier. You'll come to know about the story, how he got inspired by a tiny little spider who kept trying and never gave up. The spider's continuous efforts is what is called perseverance. In spite of all the difficulties, one should never give up. So here's the story. We move on. Hundreds of years ago, there was a king of Scotland, and his name was Robert the Bruce. It was a good thing that he was both brave and wise because the times in which he lived were wild and dangerous. So here's the story of a king. He was the king of Scotland. His name was Robert the Bruce, and he was a brave king, very wise also. And in the times when he was born, it was these qualities were needed the most because the time was very wild and dangerous. The King of England was at war with him and had led army into Scotland to drive him out of the land and make Scotland a part of England. So now, during those times, it was the King of England who wanted the supreme power. And for that, what he did was he was conquering the places, and one among them was Scotland. So the King of England had attacked Scotland to make it an extended part of England. Okay? Now, battle after battle, he had fought with England 6 times. Robert the Bruce had led his brave little army against the foes. So it was 6 times that he had continuously fought one after the other. The battle was fought, and every time Robert the Bruce, who was the king of Scotland, had led his little small army, which was brave. The quality was brave. Okay, each man in the army was brave to fight against the enemies. Now, 6 times his men had been beaten. Now, it was 6 times that the war happened, and every time it was the army of Scotland which had to suffer the losses. They were beaten up. At last, the army of Scotland was entirely scattered, and the king was forced to hide in the woods and in lonely places amidst the mountains. So it was this time when, after the sixth battle, there was no hope. The army was shattered and scattered all around. There was no unity. There were people who had lost track from each other and they were scattered all over. They were not as a combined group to fight against the army. And during this scattered process, even the king got lost and they were hiding. The king was hiding in the woods. Woods is the forest in a lonely mountain cave. On a rainy day, Robert the Bruce lay in a cave, listening to the rainfall outside. He was tired and felt sick at heart, ready to give up all hope. It seemed to him that there was no use for him to try to do anything more to save his land. So one of the fine days when it was raining, the king, the king of Scotland, Robert the Bruce, he was lying down in the cave, hiding there, and outside he was listening to the rainfall. And it was this time when he started feeling very lonely, dejected, sick at heart, and he had given up all hope. He was in dismay because he knew somewhere deep inside his heart that it was no need for another battle, and he could not do anything to save his land now. He had given up all hope. As he lay thinking, he noticed a spider over his head, getting ready to weave her web. He watched her as she worked slowly and with great care. 6 times she tried to throw her thread from one edge of the cave wall to another. 6 times her thread fell short. Okay, please listen to the story now. While he was lying down in a cave, he noticed a small, tiny spider who was trying to draw her web there. And he had noticed how every time she made an effort to weave her web, and every time it fell. The thread was short and it could not touch the other side of the cave. So the constant effort of that spider was noticed, and he noticed that it was 6 times that the spider had thrown the web to the other side of the cave but could not get it. Poor thing, said Robert the Bruce. You two know what it's like to fail 6 times in a row. So now, sympathizing with the spider, the king, Robert the Bruce, said, "Oh God, poor thing, small little creature. Even she could not uh, take up the fact that 6 times in a row she had been trying to weave her web, but every time it was not being successful. So he could sympathize with the spider, how it failed 6 times, but the spider did not lose hope. With still more care, she tried for the 7th time. Robert the Bruce almost forgot his own troubles as he watched, fascinated. So now he got very attracted to what the spider was doing, and the spider had not given up the hope. It tried for the 7th time also. Forgetting about the troubles which Robert the Bruce was facing, he was constantly watching at the spider and getting inspiration. Yes, cried Bruce, I too will try a 7th time. So now, inspired by by the efforts of the spider, even Robert the Bruce decided to give a 7th try. The 7th time he's going to try. So he rose and called his men together. He told them of his plans and sent them out with hopeful messages to cheer the discouraged army men. Soon there was an army of brave men around him. So now, in getting inspired by the spider, he called up his people. He reassembled them, filled them with honor and pride, gave them the encouraging and motivation lecture, and decided that he would take up a next battle. And the brave army also, they stood strong with him. A 7th battle was fought, and this time the King of England was forced to retreat back to his own country. Soon, England recognized Scotland as an independent country with Robert the Bruce as its rightful king. So now the 7th battle was fought, which was decisive. That means it decided the fate of Scotland once and for all. And it was then that the King of England had to leave Scotland. He had to retreat. He had to go back. He had to withdraw his forces. And soon, England recognized Scotland as an independent country. It no longer was a part of England. And it was told that Robert the Bruce, would be the rightful king to govern Scotland. And to this day, the victory and independence of Scotland is traced to a spider who showed perseverance on that rainy day and kept trying again and again to spin her web and inspire the King of Scotland, Robert the Bruce. So it is still said that the Scotland people still believe that the victory which they had won against England the credit was given to that tiny spider who had inspired the king to fight for the 7th time and get victorious. So even till date, it is remembered. Come on to the reflections. This story holds true in almost every battle of our life. Children, please switch off your video cameras. This story holds true in almost every battle of our life. We can achieve success only if we are willing to try again and again and have the courage to look beyond failure. We should treat every defeat or failure as another learning experience rather than another defeat. Fall 7 times, stand up 8 reminds us that through perseverance, if we keep trying again and again, then one day we shall surely achieve success. Success comes to those who never give up. So, this is a lovely passage which tells you the importance of keep trying, the importance that we should not give up in between. And if we keep trying with perseverance, with patience, with endurance, with firm determination, there is nothing which can come between success and that person. So, with this, we come to an end of the story. Let's come on to the question answers. Why was Robert the Bruce forced to hide in the woods and in lonely places amidst the mountains? Answer is since the King of England had been constantly attacking Scotland for 6 times.
Ma'am, voice not clear.
No problem. It was the 6th time that the men were beaten up and the army of Scotland was entirely scattered, and thus the king was forced to hide in the woods and in lonely places amidst the mountains. Whatever I have said, go through it and you can write down the answer. Question number 2. Why did Robert the Bruce feel pity for the spider in the cave? Robert the Bruce feel pity for the spider in the cave because the spider had been trying to weave her web from one side of the cave wall to the other, but in spite of regular efforts, every time the spider failed to do so. Question number 3. Despite failing 6 times, why did the spider not give up hope of weaving the web? Despite of failing 6 times, the spider did not give up hope of weaving the web because it worked tirelessly, Tirelessly. It worked tirelessly to weave the web, and it did not give up in spite of failing 6 times. Which act of a spider inspired Robert the Bruce to make a seventh try and free Scotland from England? The spider's seventh try to weave a web in spite of 6 times not being able to do so, it did not give up trying, 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 and this inspired Robert the Bruce, the King of Scotland, to get encouraged to fight the battle against England for the seventh and final time. TIME. Question number 5. What happened in the seventh battle when Robert the Bruce attacked the King of England with his army? A seventh battle was fought, and this time the King of England was forced to retreat back to his own country. The encouraged, brave Scotland soldiers were able to gain victory over England and free the nation from the British hold. Come to the second exercise. State whether the following statements are true or false. Rewrite the false statements correctly. Perseverance means to keep trying even if the situation is difficult. True. Is the camera facing the correct page, children? Are you able to see?
Ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. The King of England wanted to make England a part of Scotland. False. The King of England wanted to make, underline England and write here Scotland, Scotland a part of England. 7 times the spider tried to throw her thread from one edge of the cave wall to another. False. No, it is true. True, sorry, I'm so sorry. Number 4, while watching the spider make so many attempts to weave the web, Robert the Bruce forgot his own troubles. True. Robert the Bruce inspired the spider to make a 7th try and weave her web. False. Robert the Bruce was inspired. He did not inspire the spider. It was he that he got inspired. Was inspired by the spider to make a 7th try and fight against England. Okay? Fill in the blanks with the correct words. Dash times Robert the Bruce had led his brave little army against his foes. 6 times. Number 2, Robert the Bruce lay in the cave dash and felt dash at heart, ready to give up all hope. Come on, Robert the Bruce lay in the cave, listening, 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 and felt sick at heart. Number 3, Robert the Bruce sent out dash messages to cheer the dash army men. Robert the Bruce sent out hopeful messages to cheer the discouraged, discouraged, discouraged army men. Number 4, the victory and dash of Scotland, the victory and independence of Scotland is traced to a dash spider who showed perseverance, 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 and by the King of Scotland, Robert the Bruce. Number 5, we should treat every dash as another learning dash. We should treat every defeat or failure can you see this as another learning experience. experience. Is my page visible? I hope I'm not shaking it away. Is
No,
it
ma'am, it's
visible?
clear. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Just a second. Just a second. Okay. How much time is left, children? Will you let me
Ma'am,
know,
10 more
Dhwani?
minutes.
Okay, okay. Fall 7 times, stand up 8. Explain the proverb to bring out the correct meaning of perseverance. Make use of the following words in your explanation: trying, overcoming failures, constant efforts, focusing on the goal, never losing hope. Now, using these words, you will explain the term fall 7 times, stand up 8. So I would like to help you in this. Whatever I'm saying is getting recorded and you can write it. Also, you can write it in your own words. So here it is. Perseverance means trying again and again, facing all the difficulties which come in our way, trying efficiently to overcome failures with constant efforts and diligence with our goals set and focused, we can win any battle. We should never lose hope and should try constantly till we attain success. If we are courageous to face our battles and difficulties in spite of failures, through perseverance and determination, we can win over any difficulty. This is what it means: fall 7 times, stand up 8. Okay. Now, this story reminds us of another beautiful saying: winners never quit and quitters never win, by Vince Lombardi, a famous American football coach. In the above story, if the spider had quit after the sixth attempt, what would have happened? In the above story, if the spider had quit after the sixth attempt, it would never have been able to weave its web. And at the same time, the King of Scotland, Robert the Bruce, would have never got a chance to get inspired by it. Question number 2. Why do you think the spider succeeded in her seventh attempt? It was because of the continuous efforts, overcoming its failures, that the spider was able to succeed in her seventh attempt and weave her web successfully. Why quitters never win? Quitters never win because they did not hold on to the situation. Quitters never win because they give up in front of the difficulties that they face. They do not make constant efforts. They do not have focused goals. And that is the reason why quitters never win. Had Robert the Bruce given up after the sixth attempt, what would have happened? Had Robert the Bruce given up after the sixth attempt, he would have been in prison, and the King of Scotland, and the King of England would have conquered Scotland And today, Scotland would have been one of the colonies, colonies, colonies of England, and would have not been an independent nation. Question number 4. Who emerged as the winner in the above story and why? It was the King of Scotland, Robert the Bruce, who emerged as the winner, who got inspired from a tiny spider whose constant efforts made Robert the Bruce get motivated and give a seventh try to fight another battle against England and emerge, emerge, and emerge victorious in his final try, try. Question number 5. Why is it easy to quit and difficult to win? Many a times in a difficult situation, when we lose all hope, we give up trying because difficulty appears too big to us. But if we keep on a focused goal, a firm determination, a perfect perseverance, we can always win over a difficult situation. That is why we say it is easy to quit and difficult to win. Now we finish here. We stop here for today. Now this part, though I will not give
Excuse
the
me, ma'am.
exam. Yes,
Ma'am, can you please send the picture of right and wrong question answer?
I will show you
Ma'am,
right
I
now.
have the picture.
I will show you right now only.
Ma'am,
Okay,
I guess she's
just
asking for the second chapter.
acha.
From
Then
the second chapter.
Nigesh, think of an incident when you started a task or project and it became difficult for you to finish it. It could be anything like your school assignment, your swimming classes, a lesson in music, or simply following a New Year resolution. Keeping in mind the above incident above, answer the following questions and fill in the chart below. Why was it important to keep working towards it? Now, all these questions are given here. You have to think of your own personal hurdle or personal difficulty on a given situation. How you dealt it, how you came out of it, what all precautions you did, everything you will answer in these boxes. Now, this is the only question which each one of you will be answering separately and on your own. Supposing you come across any problem, we can discuss it. Otherwise, I would like you all to do it on your own. Okay?
Okay,
Okay?
ma'am.
Dhwani, please switch off the recording process.